welcome to a new vlog and video of the cruise vibes, and today we're gonna take a look at the last 2 days on board of the AIDAnova. Day 7 is a day at sea, and on day 8 we will be back in Hamburg, and here on the sea map you can see our approximate route of those 2 days. On day 7 it was the first day with not so good weather. It was slightly stormy, we had a few waves and a very strong wind, so it was for sure a day to be spent inside of the ship, not on the open decks, and I mainly spent that day sitting by the window watching the waves, as my cabin was on deck 4 and I had a fantastic view very close to the waterline of the waves. I was always hoping for some waves to come up to my window. At least the spray of the waves was coming up to my window, as you can see, so it was quite interesting to watch. And in the meantime I was editing the first pictures of the cruise and also working on my videos, so I had a very relaxed day and wasn't doing too much on the ship itself, spending most of the time in the cabin. I also missed the breakfast, so I tried out Stulle and Brot instead, and when I came back to my cabin it was lovely prepared like this, also with this lovely note saying thank you very much for being our guest. For lunch I went into the East restaurant, which I haven't tried yet. It was not my personal taste, so it was my least favorite restaurant, but that was not because of the restaurant, but just because of my personal taste. So the restaurant itself is also good and recommendable. Then I went back into my cabin to watch some more waves in the evening. The weather was calming down a bit, it was not that stormy again, the waves were getting a bit smaller, but it was still a very windy day, as you can see here. The spray is still coming up to my window on deck number 4. And then I had a very special evening. I made a reservation for the Rossini restaurant in advance, but it was cancelled on board and changed into a Rossini live reservation, which is a bit more expensive, costs 10 euros extra, but then a selection of the dishes you will get on that evening will be prepared live in the restaurant with explanation by the chef, and that was something I really enjoyed. That was the highlight of the cruise for me. Here you can see the nice menu that we're gonna get to enjoy, and here we can see the chef explaining the first course. He was explaining how the different parts of the dish were produced, and then we could watch a crew member starting to construct this piece of art, what you can call this course, live here in the restaurant, and you got some more explanations about the dish. And here we can see this piece of art. This was one of the most beautiful dishes I've ever received in a restaurant anywhere. That was just simply breathtaking beautiful. Also the other courses were all very good. To dine in the Rossini costs 59 euros. If it's Rossini Live you have to pay 69 euros, and that's absolutely worth the money. If you would get a menu like this in a restaurant ashore, you would pay more than 100 euros for sure. It is on a Michelin star level, and it was a fantastic evening. It was, for me, as I said, the highlight of the cruise, so I can highly recommend visiting a Rossini restaurant, especially if there's the Rossini live event. Here the crew member is now plating the dessert, which is also another beautiful piece of art. So that was a fantastic evening and the perfect end of a wonderful cruise on board of the AIDAnova. And of course the food was not only looking nice but also tasting as good as it looks. And what I also really enjoyed was that there was even a crew presentation afterwards. Crew presentation is typical for small ships and river cruise ships, but not for a ship with 6,000 passengers, so I really enjoyed that. On the next morning, unfortunately, it was time to leave my cabin. I left my cabin at the latest time possible, and then I went into the restaurant for breakfast. After that I went into the lounge and also left the ship at the latest time possible. Most guests are usually leaving the ship as soon as possible. I'm leaving it as late as possible, as my train was only leaving at lunchtime, so I still had a lot of time, and of course I wanted to spend it on board instead of spending it at a train station. So I took the maximum out of the cruise with the earliest embarkation time possible and leaving as late as possible. There were almost no more guests in the terminal except for new embarking guests, and as you can see there were also almost no more suitcases left. I was one of the last passengers to leave, and now I'm walking to the bus stop, as you can see, quite close to the ship, and now I'm taking the bus back to the Elbbrücken, and from there I'm now continuing with the Hochbahn, which is the underground of Hamburg, to the main station. And still I had a lot of time, so it was not a problem that I just missed a train here at the station. As soon as I was going up the stairs it left, but then I just had to wait for like 10 minutes until the next one came, so that was no problem. I still had more than enough time. Now I'm taking this train to the main station, and from there I'm taking the ICE back home. This will be an ICE 2 again, just like in the very first video of this series, so there will be no video about the train ride, and in the next video we will continue somewhere completely else. It was a wonderful cruise on board of the AIDAnova. I really enjoyed the ship. It was much better than I expected it to be. Traveling on such a big ship, it was still a fantastic experience. And here I'm at the main station at McDonald's, still waiting for my train, because I still had time left. But now it's finally time to head down to the platform, and here you can see my train arriving. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the series. Here you can see when the next video will be uploaded and the name of the song. As always, I'd like to say thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to comment, like, subscribe or share the video link, and I hope to see you in my next video then.